there, it's nice to have you here on the Power Circuit. This program is brought to you by the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, to keep you updated about the Nigerian power sector. I am Amara Agugesi, and I'll be leading you through this edition, starting with the highlights of our reports. Power Minister Chief Adebayo Adelabu scales up action to implement integrated power policy. Kano State Energy Policy Committee visits TCN. TCN trains staff on document processing for shipping power transmission equipment. The interview segment today will feature Engineer Adamu Ibrahim, a Principal Manager System Operation at the TCN Kano region. Engineer Ibrahim will be speaking about the entire gamut of dispatching electricity within the Kano region that covers up to Katsina, Jigawa and Niger Republic, an international customer. Let's get on with the reports. The Minister of Power, Chief Adebayo Adelabu, has scaled up activities towards having an integrated electricity policy with a strategic implementation plan soon. The Power Circuit reports the proceeding of a forum held in Abuja for this purpose.
The Policy Dialogue for Nigerian Integrated Electricity Policy and Strategic Implementation Plan Forum 2024 was organized by the African Development Bank in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Power, the United Kingdom, Nigerian Infrastructure Advisory Firm, and other development partners. Delivering a welcome address at the forum, the Minister reviewed the progress in delivering on Nigerian Integrated Electricity Policy and Strategic Implementation Plan. Chief Adelabu said actions were planned in phases towards transforming the policy and the plan from issue-based discussions to decision-making and action planning sessions where policy actions and plans to move the sector forward were agreed on. Before the forum was held, the Minister said the first phase consisted the online technical sessions held in April. He tasked participants to leverage the insights gleaned from the deliberations to shape policies that will propel the energy sector and uplift the lives of millions of Nigerians who yearn for access to reliable and affordable electricity.
In line with the commitment to enriching collaborative actions by the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, the leadership of the company has received members of the Energy Policy Committee of the Kano State Government. The committee members were on a courtesy visit to TCN to discuss issues of mutual interest.
Secretary to the Kano State Energy Policy Committee and Senior Special Assistant to the Kano State Governor on Energy and Power, Engineer Abdul Jabbar Nanono, noted that the committee was to implement the Electricity Act provisions in the state.
When the President signed the Electricity Act, states were asked to go ahead and unbundle from the normal NERC and create their own act so that they will know way in investors. And we consider it as a mandate for us to reach out to critical stakeholders. And when you're talking about electricity and power supply in Nigeria, you cannot take out the question without TCN. TCN, unless of course if you are not going to the grid, but TCN are critical stakeholders that we have to reach out.
Engineer Nanono highlighted the interest of Kano State government in working with TCN to deliver on key power transmission projects in the state. The Kano State energy expert further told TCN that the state government was ready to partner with the company to have a ring-fenced transmission line within the Kano complex comprising Kano, Katsina and Jigawa states.
Because of the cosmopolitan nature of the city, this power supply is very important because without power, even if you have planned to give water to your community, you cannot be able to do it. These are some of the things that cumulatively come to us, and we have to get any assistance to make sure that we can have as much power as possible in Kano as well. The ring network is really overdue. We are looking for it, and anywhere you want us to contribute in fastening the project, as a government we are willing to do that. Because if you have a maintenance going on or anything to do with Kaduna Kano line to Kumbotso, once you switch off, the whole Kano complex will be out. By Kano complex, I mean Jigawa, Katsina, and Kano. They will all be out. But if we have a ring supply, you can be able to backfeed and maintain the essential services. These are part of our submissions, and we believe we're in the right place to beg for anything that is due to us.
The Executive Director, Transmission Service Provider at TCN, Engineer Oluwagbenga Ajiboye, received the Kano State delegation on behalf of the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of TCN, Engineer Dr. Sule Ahmed Abdulaziz.
We have listened to you. It's very good. You have articulated your point and you want solution to it.
Yes.
We are not mindful of our limitation in Kano. We are aware of it and we have been working around the clock to make sure we resolve those. But nevertheless, we will still give you what we have in Kano and what we propose for Kano. It's what you have with you now. So you can see that it's not as if we don't look ahead. We look at the population and project also what will happen in the next coming year. So based on those ones, we have all these projects.
Engineer Ajiboye reassured the Kano State team of the commitment of the company towards implementing power transmission projects in the state.
Where you believe the constraints are there, so that we can do it in such a way that all these projects we have ongoing, we will concentrate on the one that will bring immediate benefit. You will look at them. That is why we are willing to share with you what we have. And also we are going to share with you what is already existing in Kano.
Also speaking, the General Manager Engineering at TCN, Engineer Shehu Abba Aliyu, called on the Kano State government to partner with TCN in the provision of security to protect critical power transmission assets in the state.
The area that TCN would like to collaborate with you are the areas that we are finding it very, very difficult to resolve on our own. And that area is usually the issue of right of way and provision of security against vandalization. So whatever policy you can do to collaborate with TCN such that the right of way, we have two components of right of way. We have the one that are structures, buildings under the right of way stand on its own. Then we have crops, stand on its own.
Let's have a brief message. The power circuit continues.
Oh my God, what caused this fire? Eh? Hey, God help us. Assuming this thing happened in the night, nobody from this building would have come out alive.
Madam, this is why we have warned landlords not to erect structures under the high voltage lines. If this high voltage line fell on the ground, nothing would have happened. But because this structure has been wrongly erected and the high voltage line fell on it, that is why whatever has happened has happened. We advise landlords to always consult the Transmission Company of Nigeria on their safety compliance on the right of way, so that something like this does not happen again.
Oga, we are talking of burnt house and you are talking of right of way. What is right of way and safety compliance?
Safety compliance simply means before erecting any structure around any electricity tower or line, there are safety distances you must adhere to. These safety distances are 25 meters on both sides of the electric tower in the case of a 330 kV, 15 meters on both sides of the electric tower in the case of a 132 kV, and 7.5 meters on both sides of the electric tower in the case of a 33/11 kV. These stipulated safety distance instructions are what we call right of way. If these simple, basic safety distances are adhered to, trust me, there will be less loss of property and lives resulting from cut transmission lines.
Visit Transmission Company of Nigeria office nearest to you for your safety regulations before erecting structures. Let us save lives and properties and build a stronger Nigeria. This message is from the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, transmitting electricity in the most efficient and effective manner.
Training and retraining are vital in promoting an excellent working culture, which is the goal of every organization. The Transmission Company of Nigeria (TCN) holds this high and has held a training for staffers on improving the capacity of finance professionals in document processing for shipping and power transmission equipment.
The Executive Director of Finance and Accounts, Mr. Chukwuka Ochije, in his opening address, lauded the initiative, noting that it was a platform to help improve the capacity of finance experts at TCN, dealing with invoice processing in the expediting department.
I want to warmly welcome every member of staff of TCN to this very important symposium, put in place to create awareness on the invoice processing in the expediting department. It cut across both legal is here, then audit is here, engineers are here as well as the market operators and other departments.
Mr. Ochije further enjoined the participants to dedicate their time to embracing the knowledge of expediting processes for shipping power transmission equipment.
This symposium is a means of creating awareness so that we'll be abreast with some of the activity that is being conducted by other departments, and we'll see how we can add value to it. So it's a value-added symposium that we're trying to make.
According to the Assistant General Manager, Public Affairs, Mr. Eric Ene, the training was to bring the participants up to speed in line with the international best practices.
Is there anything that we can do to bring it up to international best practice? So this workshop will provide an avenue for all of us to understand the nitty-gritty of expediting.
Assistant General Manager Expediting, Engineer Aminu Ismaila Abarushi, explained the core role of the expediting department at TCN.
Expediting deals with shipping and movement of anything that comes into Nigeria in terms of construction, isolators, CTs, VTs, and all other gantries that involve construction.
There were paper presentations on the various procedures for power transmission equipment importation, especially concerning the paperwork.
My AGM has really expatiated basically on the requirements and what is to be done. But before our importation is done, there are several documentations that should be prepared and to be made available. They call them pre-importation documents. So basically, let me just go, because he has really discussed on the experience and all of that. Okay, let me go back, pre-importation document. For pre-importation document, there are documents that should be made available. Now, before you say you want to ship consignment to any country, especially Nigeria, as a case study now, you are bringing consignment to Nigeria, definitely you should have your pro forma invoice, which form the basis from the contract agreement and all of that. You have the pro forma invoice. With the pro forma invoice, you have what they call the SON product certificate. Now, in the pro forma invoice, there should be provision for what they call HS code, harmonized system code. This HS code is such that every item is classified. The classification of a phone has its own classification. The pouch will have its own classification.
2 consultants also facilitated the training. Mr. Vincent Ikekerego, a consultant at Esseris Control Logistics Limited, and Mr. Abulmukbe Abdulrashid, a consultant from FGM Power Company, enlightened the participants on the procedures for clearing imported equipment at the ports. Presenting a vote of thanks, The General Manager, Finance and Accounts, Mr. Benedict Obu, enjoined the beneficiaries of the capacity building session to put the knowledge into practice.
For you, my colleagues, I thank you for coming. Thank you for listening. And I also urge you to see that you put what you have learned this evening in practice so that we can be more efficient and do what is expected of us.
We have learned a lot. We learned a lot in terms of the challenges that are there. There are so many challenges. The experts were here as well, and they have tried as much as give us insight on how to do to mitigate some of the challenges that we have. And we learned a lot.
You are on to the interview segment of the Power Circuit. With us today is Engineer Adamu Ibrahim, a Principal Manager System Operation at the TCN Kano region. He speaks about the entire gamut of dispatching electricity within the Kano region that covers up to Katsina and Jigawa and the Niger Republic, an international customer. How do you carry out the dispatch of bulk electricity in this region?
Dispatch of electricity is the utilization of the available power within the grid to prevent the bottlenecks of the system. Power system comprises of the generation, the transmission and the distribution. So it's obvious in Nigeria the grid generation, the power generation is not adequate. This leads to various allocations within the regions. For instance, in Kano, the available allocation we are receiving, that is what we shared among the substations we have within the Kano region, in conjunction with the DISCOs, our partners in power industry, with DISCOs. So DISCOs used to do nomination, used to do allocation based on feeders band. Based on the feeders band, that is how the dispatch is going on.
What is the coverage area of the Kano region in terms of feeder capacity?
In Kano operation region, we have 66 category KB feeders. We also supply 132 kV international line, that is Gazawa 132 kV line. The coverage area of those 33 kV feeders are in Kano State, the Jigawa State and Katsina State. We also supply part of Azere and Mugru, that is in Yobe State.
How would you describe the working relationship with the distribution companies?
The relationship between the three tiers of power industries is obvious that we have a good working relationship because the interface between the jumpers and the transmission are the national control centers, while the interface between the DISCOs and the transmission is the transmission stations. And thank God we have a good working relationship with them. In power industries, without one, for instance, without jumpers, the transmission and the distribution cannot work. Likewise, without transmission, the jumpers and the DISCOs cannot work. The same thing applies if there is no DISCOs, then the transmission and the jumpers will not work. So you have to come to achieve the same goal so that we move the industry forward.
What do you do when there are faults during load dispatch?
A fault can occur in the power system. it can be natural, it can be a man-made. So in any way, there is a role engineers has to play. For instance, man-made fault can be due to negligence of the maybe maintenance men. It can be due to some of the equipment that are aging, need replacement, but maybe due to some certain reasons, the thing has not been changed. So some of the faults that can be occurred within the system can be prevented by regular inspection, by regular maintenance, by regular upgrading also. By doing this, you can prevent the faults that can be occurred within the power industry.
That expository on power system operation and how TCN dispatches bulk electricity in the Kano region was from the Principal Manager, System Operation in the region, Engineer Adamu Ibrahim. Always watch out for this segment for informative insights on the workings of power transmission in Nigeria. Let's have a recap. Power Minister Chief Adebayo Adelabu scales up action to implement integrated policy. From Kano State, members of the Energy Policy Committee have paid a courtesy visit to the leadership of TCN. You also heard that TCN has trained staff members on document processing for shipping power transmission equipment. And the interview segment had a Principal Manager, System Operation at the TCN Kano region, Engineer Adamu Ibrahim. He spoke about the process of dispatching electricity across states within the Kano region and up to the Niger Republic, an international customer in the Nigerian electricity market. The management of TCN has made this edition and the previous ones available for you for your viewing delight on the TCN YouTube channel. There are more avenues to interact with TCN. On Facebook, you can like the TCN page, Transmission Company of Nigeria. TCN is on X, formerly Twitter, via @TCN_Nigeria. And on Instagram, search and click TCN_Nigeria. The TCN Public Affairs team looks forward to having your comments and observations by email to affairs.public@tcn.org.ng. TCN also has an interactive website, www.tcn.org.ng, where you can get more information about its activities. TCN desires to keep you informed through its news-only website, www.tcnnews.ng. We implore you to always guard against vandalism of power transmission lines, towers and substations in your locality. Also, do not encroach on transmission lines right of way and do not support this in any form. I am Amara Agugesi. Thanks a lot.